If you're everyone, we live in a world full of noise, social media updates, notifications, and constant chatter about achievements. Everyone wants recognition, applause, and validation. But today, I want to talk about a different approach, a path less glamorous but far more powerful, working hard in silence. Because true success doesn't shout, it whispers. It's the quiet effort you put in when no one is watching, the determination that fuels you in the shadows, and the discipline that turns dreams into reality. Today, I'll show you why working silently can be the loudest statement you ever make. Success comes from consistent effort, not public praise. This idea is both simple and profound. Yet many people overlook it in a world obsessed with instant recognition and visible results. From a young age, we are conditioned to seek approval. Whether it's through grades in school, awards in competitions, or recognition from family and peers, we learn to tie our sense of worth to external validation. However, this mindset can be misleading because true success is rarely immediate and is almost never guaranteed to be recognized right away. It is the quiet, persistent work done day after day, you're often unseen, that lays the foundation for remarkable achievements. Consistency is the backbone of skill, expertise, and accomplishment. It is not a single brilliant effort that propels someone to greatness, but rather the repeated, disciplined actions over months and years. Think of it like planting a seed. If a seed is watered, nurtured, and cared for every day, it eventually grows into a strong tree, even if no one notices the early stages of growth. The moment a tree bears fruit or reaches its full height is what gets attention, but the months and years of invisible effort are what truly matter. Many people underestimate the power of small, consistent actions. They see someone successful and assume it was easy or instantaneous. Without realizing the countless hours of preparation, practice, and learning that went into that person's journey. For example, athletes often seem naturally talented. Yet every champion has spent years training in private, enduring hardships, and refining their skills when no one was watching. Their success is not a result of sudden bursts of talent, but the cumulative effect of daily dedication. Similarly, writers, artists, entrepreneurs, and professionals all share the same principle: mastery is built silently over time. The public only sees the polished product, not the unseen hours of struggle and effort. This is why focusing on consistent effort rather than external praise is so essential. Praise is fleeting, but skill and achievement are permanent. When we seek constant recognition, we risk becoming distracted from the actual work. The desire for applause can lead to shortcuts, compromises, and superficial success. People may be tempted to focus on what looks good to others instead of what actually builds long-term value. In contrast, those who dedicate themselves quietly to their goals are free from external pressures. They work with purpose, not for validation, and this allows them to take risks, make mistakes, and learn from failure without the fear of judgment. Failure is an essential part of growth, but it is often uncomfortable precisely because society emphasizes praise and discourages visible mistakes. By committing to consistent effort, even when no one is watching, individuals build resilience. They learn to trust their own process and to measure progress by their personal standards, not by applause from others. Consistency and effort also develops discipline, which is a critical ingredient for success. Discipline is formed through repetition, through showing up even when motivation wanes, and through continuing to work toward goals without immediate rewards. Motivation alone is unreliable. It fluctuates depending on mood, circumstances, or external excitement. Consistent effort, on the other hand, does not depend on how we feel in a given moment. It requires a mindset that prioritizes long-term results over short-term gratification. People who understand this principle often set routines, create habits, and plan their work in manageable, incremental steps. They know that achieving something meaningful is rarely the result of a single moment of brilliance, but of steady, cumulative effort. Another critical aspect is the internal satisfaction that comes from knowing you have given your best, regardless of recognition. Public praise is external. It can be unpredictable and temporary. True fulfillment comes from self-respect and awareness of your own commitment to growth. Consider inventors or scientists who dedicate decades to research that may not immediately earn awards or headlines. Their drive comes not from wanting to be famous, but from a deeper understanding that their work has value and meaning. By focusing on consistent effort rather than praise, we align ourselves with intrinsic motivation, which is far more sustainable than relying on external approval. Intrinsic motivation allows us to persevere when recognition is delayed or absent, because the effort itself becomes rewarding. Consistency also allows for the accumulation of knowledge and expertise over time. Mastery is rarely achieved overnight. Whether it's learning a musical instrument, coding a complex software, or developing leadership skills, proficiency comes from repeated practice and deliberate effort. Each small step builds upon the last, creating a foundation for more advanced skills. Praise often comes only after a significant milestone is achieved, but the journey to reach that milestone is where real growth occurs. If a person focuses solely on praise, they may abandon tasks before reaching mastery. If you're missing the opportunity to develop depth and resilience, conversely, consistent effort ensures that progress continues steadily, even if recognition is delayed. In addition, the discipline of working without seeking praise builds humility. When people understand that effort matters more than acknowledgement, they develop a quiet confidence. They learn to value hard work for its own sake rather than for the applause it brings. This humility does not mean undervaluing oneself, but recognizing that success is often the product of patience, perseverance, and learning rather than luck or public attention. Your humble confidence allows individuals to take calculated risks, accept constructive criticism, and continue improving without being swayed by fleeting praise or criticism. Your history is full of examples of people who exemplified consistent effort over the pursuit of recognition. Your famous figures, often celebrated for their achievements, were usually unknown for years before their success became visible. Your inventors like Nikola Tesla or scientists like Marie Curie worked tirelessly in labs, often without acknowledgement, driven by curiosity and dedication rather than praise. Writers like K. Rowling faced repeated rejections before their work was published and acclaimed. These examples highlight a universal truth: sustained effort, even in obscurity, eventually produces results that speak for themselves. Praise may eventually come, but it is not the fuel for progress. It is a byproduct. Even in everyday life, the principle holds. Students who study diligently without needing to show off their achievements often outperform those who seek recognition for minimal effort. Your employees who consistently deliver quality work, even quietly, gain trust, respect, and responsibility over time. Athletes who train privately build endurance and skill that eventually manifest in victories. The pattern is clear effort sustained over time, regardless of recognition, creates a strong foundation for lasting success. Consistency also reinforces the development of patience and long-term vision. In a world where instant gratification is constantly promoted, it is easy to become frustrated when results are not immediate. Social media, for example, constantly rewards visibility and instant attention, creating the illusion that success should be immediate. Those who focus solely on recognition risk becoming discouraged when praise does not come quickly. In contrast, consistent effort nurtures patience. It encourages people to focus on what they can control, their actions, habits, and discipline, rather than external outcomes. This mindset is crucial because meaningful achievements rarely happen overnight. Long-term vision combined with persistent effort is a reliable path to substantial accomplishments. Even mistakes and failures take on a different meaning when consistent effort is valued over praise. Failure is not a sign of inadequacy, but a stepping stone for improvement. When a person is motivated by external approval, failure can be demoralizing and shame-inducing. However, when the goal is personal growth and consistent progress, your failures are seen as opportunities to learn and adjust, each setback becomes a lesson that strengthens skill, resilience, and understanding. This perspective is empowering because it shifts the focus from external judgment to internal growth, fostering a mindset that is essential for enduring success. Quiet discipline builds results that speak for themselves. At first glance, this statement may seem almost paradoxical in a society obsessed with visibility, loud declarations, an immediate recognition. Everywhere we look, we are inundated with images of success that scream for attention: viral social media posts, flashy achievements, award ceremonies, constant self-promotion. It is easy to assume that those who appear to be successful are loud about their accomplishments, and that recognition is an essential component of achievement. Yet, the most profound and lasting results often come from a place of quiet discipline, where effort is consistent, focused, and deliberate, and where the work itself is valued above the praise it might eventually receive. Quiet discipline is not about secrecy or avoidance of acknowledgement. It is about committing to a process, trusting the journey, and maintaining focus, even when external validation is absent. To understand quiet discipline, it helps to consider its core characteristics. It is deliberate, intentional effort that is sustained over time, regardless of whether anyone is watching. It is the willingness to work on something daily, not for immediate applause, but because it matters, because it contributes to growth, skill, and mastery. People who embody quiet discipline are guided by their internal standards and goals rather than by the fleeting opinions of others. This mindset fosters resilience, patience, and focus. Qualities that are essential for achieving results that are meaningful and lasting. Unlike impulsive or sporadic effort, quiet discipline is consistent, methodical, and grounded in the understanding that excellence is rarely instantaneous. Examples of quiet discipline can be seen in almost every field of human endeavor. Consider the world of sports. Your elite athletes are often idolized for their victories, their medals, and their records, but the true story behind those achievements is rarely seen. The hours spent training before sunrise, the sacrifices made in diet, social life, and leisure. And the relentless repetition of drills and techniques are the foundation upon which visible success is built. Athletes who cultivate quiet discipline do not train for applause, They train to perfect their craft, to push their limits, and to continuously improve. Over time, this consistent effort accumulates into a performance that speaks volumes without the need for explanation. In the realm of arts and creativity, quiet discipline is equally critical. Writers, painters, musicians, and other artists often spend countless hours honing their skills in solitude. The brushstrokes of a painter, the notes of a composer, and the words of a writer are not the result of sudden inspiration alone. They are the outcome of sustained practice and meticulous refinement. These creators often work without immediate recognition, driven by a commitment to craft rather than the desire for fame. The discipline to keep creating, to revise, to learn, and to persist quietly allows the work to mature to a level where it resonates profoundly with audiences. When a masterpiece emerges, its impact is undeniable precisely because it is the product of disciplined labor, not a fleeting attempt at attention. Quiet discipline also shapes character and mindset. Individuals who practice this form of diligence learn to embrace patience and delayed gratification. In a culture that prizes instant results, the ability to persist quietly toward long-term goals is a rare and powerful skill. People with quiet discipline understand that meaningful outcomes cannot be rushed, and that consistent effort, even in small increments, compounds over time. This mindset reduces dependence on external validation, which can fluctuate and is often unreliable. By focusing on the work itself, individuals cultivate self-motivation, self-confidence, and inner strength. They are less swayed by criticism or praise and more guided by the knowledge that their actions will yield results if they remain committed and consistent. Furthermore, your quiet discipline allows individuals to manage distractions effectively. In today's hyper-connected world, attention is constantly pulled in multiple directions. Social media notifications, news updates, and peer comparisons can easily disrupt focus and fragment effort. Those who practice quiet discipline develop the ability to prioritize and concentrate on tasks that matter even when external noise is pervasive. By dedicating themselves to focused work, they ensure that their energy is spent on actions that generate tangible results rather than being wasted on superficial recognition or temporary approval. Over time, this focused effort creates a cumulative advantage where each step taken quietly builds towards significant achievements. The principle of quiet discipline can also be observed in the business world. Entrepreneurs who build successful companies often do so through persistent, incremental effort that is largely unseen. They invest countless hours developing strategies, learning from failures, and refining their products or services. Your success is rarely the result of one grand, visible move, but rather a series of disciplined actions executed over time. Employees who consistently deliver high-quality work, meet deadlines, and solve problems quietly also contribute to organizational success, even if their efforts are not immediately recognized. The results of such disciplined work often speak for themselves through measurable achievements, increased productivity, innovation, and sustainable growth. Education is another sphere where quiet discipline proves transformative. Students who dedicate themselves to studying, completing assignments diligently, and continuously seeking knowledge, even without constant recognition, often outperform peers who rely on short bursts of effort motivated by praise or grades. Learning, much like any other endeavor, is cumulative. Knowledge acquired through consistent study becomes deeper, more integrated, and more applicable over time. The disciplined student understands that the reward is not merely a grade on paper, but the long-term ability to think critically, solve problems, and succeed in life. Over time, this disciplined approach yields results that are obvious to teachers, peers, and eventually the world. Quiet discipline also cultivates resilience and adaptability. Your life is unpredictable and challenges are inevitable. Individuals who have trained themselves to work steadily and persistently develop the ability to weather setbacks without losing momentum. Because they focus on the process rather than external validation, they are less likely to be derailed by criticism, failure, or temporary obstacles. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to refine skills, strengthen character, and deepen commitment. This resilience enhances the quality of the results they ultimately produce. Because their work is informed by experience, patience, and perseverance. The psychological impact of quiet discipline cannot be overstated. When individuals learn to value effort over recognition, they experience a profound sense of personal satisfaction and autonomy. They understand that their worth is not tied to applause, but to their commitment to excellence. This mindset fosters intrinsic motivation, where the act of working itself is rewarding. Intrinsic motivation is far more sustainable than extrinsic motivation, which relies on external validation and can fluctuate based on circumstances or opinions. Quiet discipline encourages self-mastery, self-respect, and confidence, creating a mental and emotional foundation for sustained success. Quiet discipline also emphasizes the importance of incremental progress. Achievements rarely appear suddenly. They emerge gradually from the accumulation of small, consistent actions. This is true in skill development, career growth, personal improvement, and relationships. Each discipline choice, no matter how small, contributes to a larger outcome over time. Just as water gradually shapes rock through persistent flow, steady effort quietly transforms abilities, circumstances, and outcomes. This principle explains why results eventually become undeniable, even if the effort was largely invisible along the way. Mentorship and learning also thrive under quiet discipline. Individuals committed to steady improvement are more likely to seek knowledge, observe patterns, and absorb wisdom from others. They recognize that learning is a process, if you're not a one-time event, and they apply lessons consistently. Their disciplined approach allows them to integrate insights into their actions, enhancing their effectiveness. Over time, the results of this continuous learning and disciplined application speak for themselves, often surpassing the achievements of those who rely on talent or luck alone. In addition, if your quiet discipline nurtures creativity and innovation, when the focus is on consistent effort rather than immediate recognition, individuals feel freer to experiment, take risks, and explore new ideas. They are less constrained by fear of judgment or the desire to impress others, which often stifles creativity. Over time, if your disciplined exploration and iteration lead to breakthroughs that are evident in tangible outcomes, whether it is a new product, a unique artistic style, or a problem-solving approach, these results emerge naturally from sustained, disciplined effort rather than from flashy, attention-seeking actions. Even in personal development, quiet discipline plays a vital role. If your habits, self-control, and emotional regulation improve through consistent practice, individuals who commit to daily routines, mindfulness, exercise, and reflection gradually become stronger, healthier, and more balanced. These internal improvements manifest outwardly in behavior, decision-making, and interactions with others. The results of such disciplined self-development are often subtle at first, but over time, they become strikingly visible and impactful.